In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
Yeah, man. So I'm talking to my buddy Frank here, and hey,
That's me.
welcome, podcast listeners,
Hey.
back to another pointless automotive podcast, APA podcast for those in the know. Frank, how you doing, man?
Oh boy, I am doing quite well. How are you, young
Doing
Padawan?
doing fine. Cracking a banquet open, about to have a
Ooh.
car banquet. Because me and my good pal Frank, we're talking about cars, guys. Believe it or not. And what's funny is we've talked about the cars we've owned, and we frequently talk about our fleets, but we've never really broken it down and been like, you know what, man? What are your top 5 favorite cars? Some people haven't even owned 5 cars. But we picked our top 5 favorite. I think it's cool, and it's up to you to like defend why. No one's gonna fight you over it, obviously, but
Might
just
happen.
defend. Maybe a fight or two. Them's fighting words, but just talk about our top 5 favorite cars that we've personally owned.
Yeah.
And
Boy.
I want you to go first, Frank. I'm
Should I?
excited. I think I guessed some of your top 5 because we know each other pretty well. I think if we played this game, we could
Let's
guess a
see.
good amount of them. But I want to see what you picked, man. So,
And this is actually
Hmm.
dumbfoundingly difficult because I think
It is
there's
true.
very much a difference between like favorite and best, right?
Yeah.
Because I've had
Fair.
what is not on my top 5 list here is the LS 430, and that's of no fault of that car though. Like it's probably the best out of any car I've ever owned as far as at being a car.
Fair. That's fair. You want to
It
put it
might
as an.
be.
You know what? Let's allow one honorable mention. You want to throw it out there because it's maybe not your favorite car that you've owned, but a good car. That's probably worth an honorable mention.
Maybe best, but if I'm going to do an honorable mention, I'm actually going to save it for something else. So we'll do that. What I am going to do though is, I guess, let me start from the bottom. As somebody once said, I'll start from the bottom. Now I'm here in the last place, the 5th place spot, the extra head on the Mount Rushmore of my favorite cars. I'm going to go with a car I rarely talk about here, and it's a truck. That's going to be my 1987 Toyota 4Runner. So I've owned 2 first-gen 4Runners. I've owned an 89, which was red over gray SR5 six-cylinder, and then the 87, which was white over gray SR5 inclinometer 22RE 4-banger. Dog slow, but reliable. Got, for what it was, got actually almost okay fuel economy. I got like high teens pretty consistently, whereas the 6-cylinder one, I got like 10, 11. I mean, it was brutal on fuel. Just really, it just oozes coolness. My
Great
particular
trucks.
one had really good truck, just classic looks. I would frequently take the hard top off of it. Basically every summer I would take the hard top off and just have it off for 4 solid months, 5 solid months. Drove like that in the rain before from Reno. Had some really cool, went off road, drove down an abandoned train trestle in it. So good truck, a lot of cool memories. I don't want to say it's the one that got away because I sold it to a friend of mine and she still has it. She's put a lot of time and money and miles into that car, so it's at a good home, and so that's fun. So that would be the number 5th spot. Probably taking up the number 4 spot. This one's tough. I'm probably going to go Galant VR4, which I currently own. It's the second one of these I've owned. And this one hasn't broken a timing belt. And it's in a better color than my other one. So that's why it's the better car to the one I had in college.
And a one owner, right? Before you? True one
owner.
One,
let's call it 1.5, right? Like it passed through your hands.
True. But like someone owned it the entire life of that car, which is
I spoke
bonkers
with that owner like on the phone.
Yeah,
so it was
so cool.
really cool, just a cool car. It's like a car guy's car, for lack of a better way to put it. Like if you don't know, you don't know.
That thing was finally,
and even
caressed.
Car guys.
That thing was finally caressed by my hands, not just passing.
It was. It didn't like fumble through your fingers. It was massaged to a happy ending that was selling it to me.
Absolutely.
but yeah, just a very cool car. That they're hard to come by. So that one was going to hold a special spot for me.
DWA rally veteran
Yeah.
car with 0 hiccups, really?
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
Great car.
it minor exhaust leak at the end of it, but that's about it. No big deal. And that's going to be sad when that one goes. It'll be, we shall see. Probably, boy, I probably should have put this in retrospect. I probably should have put this car under the Galant.
Ooh.
Probably should have put the Galant in the 3-hole and this car in the 4 spot. My 2002 Subaru WRX.
I still love those things too.
They've aged better than I would have thought, because the bug eye, like when they were ugly, and then they changed the face, and then people were like, well, that's less ugly but still ugly, and then they changed it to the Hawkeye again, and then that was it. I think probably the best looking, in my opinion, I know we've discussed this before, is the Hawkeye. I know you're a blob eye guy.
I'm more about, for WRXs, I'll take the bug eye, but for the STI, definitely blob eye.
Sure, that's wrong, but fine. But yeah, it was a 2002 sedan, silver, had the 06, 07, 17-inch wheels on it, Cobb access port stage 1, and really nice high-end fluids to keep the transmission from grenading.
Yeah, which they do.
And I put a boatload of miles on that car in, God, I had it like 3 years, and I put 80-something thousand miles on it. And it was basically flawless. And it was fun. I had that car when I was in college and just outside of college. And it's kind of the perfect car for that. It was actually, it was just after I graduated, I suppose. And yeah, for someone in their early to mid 20s, perfect car. It was fast enough. It handled well enough. It was reliable enough, and it was practical enough. And the interior, good enough, right?
Yeah,
people dog on those as far as poor quality, but you look at that compared to an Evo and like a Lancer, and it's better. You look at it next to any really that same era Civic, I think it's probably a little better, not by much, but maybe a little.
The Momo steering wheel was nice. I always like the feel of that one.
The Momo steering wheel, the seats were good and supportive. The door trim panels were actually soft touch-ish. They weren't just pure hard plastic. Same with the dash. So I don't know. I thought the interior's got a bad rap, but just a very, very, very good car. I would say another just good car.
So they're so damn good, and like
I think they're still underappreciated to find a good clean one.
That's the problem. So I still look for them, man, and because I like them too. I had an O2 wagon. It had the factory or the dealership leather installed, full leather interior, which actually made the interior quite nice. But yeah, dude, you're right. Like perfect all around car. Like not horrible on gas. Better than average performance, all-wheel drive for any situation. Modding, if you need to mod, you can.
Yeah.
But God, finding a clean one today, man, you're right. And you know what? If taken care of, I find turbo Subarus to be quite reliable.
Yes, absolutely. I'm
gonna say it.
That's part of that. No, I think you're dead on that. I've seen some with many, like deeply over 200,000 miles. And those early ones, the bug eyes, especially the 2002s, people would like, oh, the transmissions are made of glass. If you just like actually service them and don't do 6,500 RPM clutch dumps
or 400 horsepower, or big turbo upgrades.
I think a lot of the Subaru, the knock on not reliableness of Subarus boils down to the NA ones would eat head gaskets all day, every day.
Yep.
But the turbo ones were reliable, but they fell victim to like why everyone thinks DSMs are unreliable.
Yeah, I was just
people would mod them to the gills with like random parts that they get on eBay, and then the crank walks around in the block, and now it's like Subarus are unreliable, right? So, anyways, yeah, that I suppose is in the 3-hole. Number 2, I'll probably pick any of the various Celica Supras that I've owned over the years, but realistically,
who gets to say that? That's Frank.
Yeah, probably specifically, and again, like best car, no, not the best, but for what it is, for what they are, and in that era, right? You look at other stuff in the early to mid 1980s, right? That the end run was 85, technically 86, but reliable. Like they were consistently the what was import car of the year, Motor Trend import car of the year, I think in 82 and 85. And they were well regarded, and they held up, and the styling is cool. And so
the styling is so cool. Yeah.
Apparently, you see, this is why nostalgia sells, because I'm thinking about it. I had a bunch of these cars so far. I've had like when I was in college, right? Because I had a Celica Supra in college. I had my Galant VR4, my first one in college. Just got talking about the WRX that I had at the end of college, right when I graduated.
Everything you've talked about has appreciated, though. So to be fair, since all these cars from when you were in college, the price today has appreciated. Like clean examples.
Sure, although it's probably outside of a few examples, probably everything has appreciated since I was in college.
Maybe. Probably not my 1990 Corsica, but
well, yeah,
fair enough.
Just inflation. If you don't adjust for inflation, it is appreciated.
It's still like $2,000 in factory show condition.
Yeah, right. So yeah, probably Celica Supra is on the list, but the out of the gaggle that I've had is the one that I had the longest and put the most miles on, and thus the most memories, was my super deep red over gray leather 85. It was an auto.
Still,
I put big miles on it. It eventually did what Supras do, and it blew a head gasket. But I don't want to say I was bad to that car, but I wasn't particularly gentle. And it was lowered. It was lowered on ST springs and Tokiko blue shocks. That's what you do. Yokohama ES 100 tires. Ooh. And an aftermarket CD player and some 6x9s in the back. And it was a true late teens, early 20s idiot car, and it was good. It was good to me. And now I have an 84, and it's not nearly as nice, but I don't know. That'll be a story for another day. Leads number one, which I have to say it, and I've got fear about this one, not about where it is here, because that's number one, and that is my 1965 Plymouth Barracuda. You knew it was going to be on the list somewhere,
of course.
And my first car, so it has to hold a place on the list. Where my fear comes in, I haven't really driven that car in 15 years.
My God.
So my fear is I have owned and driven an enormous number of very good cars between here and there. And so even though like I've done all these things to it and suspension work and this and that, it's gonna have all these fresh bits and pieces when I do get to drive it eventually.
Oh no.
I feel like it's gonna be like, this car sucks, because it's a 1960s American compact car built on a budget. And when I modded it and I did all the things to it and I put a motor and did all this stuff, it was like ad hoc, like kind of hot roddy stuff, where you just like, you have some money and you throw this part at it, and you have another money and you throw another part at it, and then eventually it's like, it's all very kind of incongruent with each other. So it's going to be a bag of car basically, but it's going to sound good, it's going to look good. That's kind of all I need out of that car, I think.
And you haven't really driven it in so long. That feeling is going to be so strong when it's like ready, when it's actually drivable. You can go in, pop the key in, turn it, go. That's going to be such a good feeling, dude. Even if it isn't like comparable to something modern, there's so much like time and emotion wrapped up in that car, man.
Yeah. So
it's going to be special. That's going to be
that's number one. The 340, hopefully it's still healthy after sitting all this time, and should be close to 400 horsepower. I'd like to get it dyno tuned, spin it to 7,500 RPM, and good car, good fun. Number one in my book. And now I've just talked for a long time. Chadwick, and any hits or misses on my list that
It's about what I expected. I thought maybe a shout out to your lifted Sienna minivan, since you had that thing for quite a while. But I think pretty much I had your list just about sized up what it was. Good. What a mix. Some real solid cars there.
Yeah. Honorable mention, and it's just my favorite to think about this car, but not actually my ownership of it, but just the thought of it. The 73 Jaguar with the Chevy small block swap.
Very cool.
That's just a. I think about that car and just makes me smile. It's just
So
silly, and it
it's
was
the
actually well
silly
done.
factor, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just a good car. It looks good, really sharp looking car, and so that's honorable mention. What would you like to mention, Chadwick?
Man, let me start off with my honorable mention. Now, this was tricky. Like we were talking before we started, I've owned 62 cars at this point in my life.
Well,
So
who's counting?
who's like trying to hold that against me? So honorable mention, I even have two honorable mentions sharing the honorable mention spot because I love Miatas and there's something I've always loved them. I've had four of them. I've had a Mazda Speed. I've had the stripped down 92s, the loaded 97. And
Mm-hmm.
generally, I'm just going to put Miata as honorable mention because I absolutely enjoy them. Simple to mod. I've done
Mm-hmm.
so much track time in them. It's just, I can't not mention it.
Yeah.
But specifically,
Fair.
I didn't want to make my list. And it shares that spot with my, believe it or not, honorable mention 05 BMW M3.
Okay.
Didn't make my top five list. And I know the prices on those have gotten kind of crazy. And mine was
Yeah.
pretty good. It was like Imola red, black leather, 6-speed manual, had 80,000 miles on it when I sold it. I had that car for a
That's worth
while.
money now.
Yeah, I know.
What'd you get for it when you sold it back then? Do you
I don't
remember?
even want to talk about it, dude.
Sold it for like 12.
No, like 16. I sold it for no 17 when I sold it. So I made
Boy,
money on it.
it's probably worth what,
I know,
28?
I know, dude. Let's not do that with my list. That's an official rule
Fair.
this part going forward because
Fair.
there's a few of these on there.
Yes.
But yeah, good car. Both of those, Miata and M3, honorable mention. Number 5 on my list, the Galant VR4. I've owned 4, but I'm putting my 1992, which was 114 out of 2000. That was a Summit White, which is interesting because I do like Bully's Green more, much like you. I think it's a better color. But this one was my track fun car I built in Northern Virginia, just outside of DC when I lived there. So I didn't have to deal with, California's crushing smog. So I didn't know I was going to move to California, to be fair. So I had that car for 12 years, my friend. That's a long time to own any car. But fully built engine, cams, fully built trans from Jack Trans, Evo 316G turbo, all the period stuff from that time, handling mods, big brake kits, racing seats, Sparko racing seats. Fully was going to be my fun car. I was making a little over 300 at the wheel.
Heck yeah.
The perfect Galant VR4. And I moved to California with it. And I couldn't register it. I wasn't, I didn't have that bandwidth of time to go to track days like I used to. And I sold it. And I sold it for like not a lot of money. It's for sale right now still for $16K.
How long has it been for sale for?
I don't know, maybe a month. So it's going to be a specialty buyer that buys it. I thought about it, dude. I entertained it. I just couldn't float it at this time given.
Yeah, 16's a little spicy. And 16's a little spicy for that car.
A little spicy, but the motor alone was like 5, and then in the trans was like 3. And then obviously I know aftermarket parts, but a built 4G63 is always worth money. So yeah, the value is there, and it's super clean, like rust free, cool car. Look it up. I think they might have dropped the price to 15. What a steal!
Where is it for sale at?
I don't know. I think it's up near your neck of the woods, to tell you the truth. I know. The Galant community is pretty tight. But anyway, I've owned 4 of those cars. They're absolutely magical to me. It's like it's a homologation special that hasn't run away in price. They take to mods so well, and they survived for the most part. They didn't, like the DSMs were cool enough, and they were in the fucking Fast and Furious movies, and everybody modded and ruined them. So it's hard to find a clean DSM. Galants tend to be cleaner, but modifications kind of can be rough if they're not done right, and they can still face the same fate. I wanted to use the Fast and the Furious term there, fate. Fate of the Furious, or whatever the fuck it is.
Fist of the Furious.
Face off too. But anyway, great car. Had to mention it. That makes my number 5 spot for sure, dude.
She got in 4.
And I have one right now that I'll never get rid of, by the way.
Allegedly.
Number 4, so we're gonna stay in the early 90s because that's my happy spot. A 1990 Nissan 300ZX twin turbo, which is always been my dream Z car. I love the 240Z, but I feel like every one of those is a goddamn basket case. There's always rust. There's always a million, like you can't find the right panels to replace. If something happens, the interiors tend to fall apart. I think the Z32 twin turbo Z is like one of the best cars Nissan made for like a
Yeah.
sports car hybrid with a grand touring car. That car was so damn comfy as a highway cruiser, and it was like a sweetheart at like Cars and Coffees and events like that. Like when's the last time? Like every time you see one, it has like an aftermarket bumper or like a big spoiler,
or at least the
like,
bottom is cracked in the middle from
right,
bottoming
yeah,
it on
or
driveways.
like insane stupid wheels, right? Like
Yeah.
this one was so good looking, dude. The interior was good, the exterior was good. And it was a big restoration project, which also like I invested some, you get to love something that you're working on quite a bit. So
Yep.
that car just, I don't know. I was just really impressed with it. I got a good deal on it. I put way too much effort in sourcing all the stock parts, and it came out so nice, dude. It definitely one of my like, will always be like a memory car. It's an icon.
Yeah. No, those are cool. And that is one thing I like about the new Z is they give it a quick homage on the taillight treatment on the
Love
on the
it.
new
Yeah,
Z.
those taillights still look great on the old Z's, and the
Yeah.
headlights. It's still like it's such a good
The
looking.
Diablo headlights.
Yeah, right. You mean the Z headlights?
Exactly.
Number 3,
Ooh.
2006. So my list is really a mix of early 90s and mid 2000s.
Who knew?
It's where it lands, man. So 2006 Porsche Cayman S. That's the 9871. To me, dude, this is the enthusiast Porsche, and they've gone up quite a bit in price. But I grabbed this one pretty cheap, and you could get sub $20,000 models back in the day, like pretty nice ones.
You can now if it's got like 130,000 miles and it's a tip.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, maybe not an S, like a regular Cayman.
Yeah, it'd be a
right.
base with a tip, just a tip.
So yeah, this was everything. So 6-speed manual. It had everything I wanted. 6-speed manual, sports chrono, sports seats, cocoa brown leather, full leather interior,
Yes.
which was my favorite part. Arctic silver. So I love it when it's like a mild exterior color with an exciting interior. I've always loved that combo in like sports cars. And dude, that car was so engaging. Like you could take that car and daily it, right? Like the Cayman S is very dailyable, very comfortable interior, and just go like down the highway, no problem at all.
Yep,
and you
perfect.
get on a canyon road and just absolutely hoon it, dude. It's just what a brilliant car. The power band was so good with that motor. It's just, I don't know. I just found it to be such an incredibly like livable sports car that had a really it had a high threshold on a performance for what it could do. And I don't know, man. I just think it's really balanced and it looks good. Like they still look really good to me. Like it's hard to think that thing's from 06 when you see one. You're like, God damn.
Yeah, like, is that a 12? What is that? Yeah.
No idea. And it's a flat 6. It's like iconic, like traditional Porsche. And it's not a big money car. Even now, like if you score one for 30, that's a lot of car for 30 grand, given what
and
it'll be
that 30, it'll be a nice one. It'll be a looked after one,
pretty
good
nice.
options, good color. And that's a car that you can just like, it's not Ferrari as far as maintenance. It's not like an old AMG car of the same era as far as maintenance.
Easy to maintain.
Just,
yeah.
Some stuff's expensive, but not that expensive, and it's all durable and yeah, you can have that car forever if you wanted to.
Those things, man, in 10 years they're going to be on titanium. They're going to be like 40K 50K cars, promise. The manual ones for sure. It's Porsche greatness. It's mid-engine flat 6. I mean, what are you gonna
then EV swap it. No, don't do that.
There we go. From let's keep it in the mid 2000s, my friend.
Okay.
And much like you enlightened us with, I have a Subaru story, a lovely Subaru that I held on to for 6 years. It was my 2007 Legacy Spec B. In the halls of legacy, I don't know, stardom, the Spec B is such a rare beast, dude. I think they only made a few hundred of these. So 07, it's DGM diamond gray metallic, like a gunmetal color, had the blue, really cool Alcantara interior, kind of like an STI. It's like the same shade of blue. But 07 was important because it was the second year, so they got the 6-speed manual basically stripped out of an STI.
Right. Which is because 06 was the first year and you got a 5-speed, right? Instead of a 6-speed.
Correct.
But then you had that burnt orange leather interior.
Which was cool, but that 6-speed is bulletproof, takes so much more power. this one also had a Torsen 180 R180 rear diff, limited slip diff from the factory.
Mhm.
It had the inverted like suspension components, the aluminum ones from the STI. It really was a legacy STI here in the States, and
Yeah,
just
the Gentleman STI.
fucking what a car, dude. And I got a
Very
good
cool.
deal on it. I was really happy how that worked out. And I modified the shit out of it because at the time I was a little younger. I was making some good money. So I imported the JDM Wagon Pinks from Japan. And it took like
Ooh.
7 months on a cargo ship. It got stuck in some like ice storm in the middle of the Atlantic.
Of course it
This is
did.
when I was living on the East Coast. And I imported the correct Bilstein shocks. So I kept the B and Spec B for all of you that don't know is Bilstein. And I put some of the Japanese shocks on. So I had full suspension Cusco sway bars, upgraded brakes, grippy tires, stage 2 cob tune with downpipe, uppipe,
Nice.
all the Subaru stuff. So nothing too crazy. And I got it like actually professionally tuned. And I'm going to tell you, own that car for 6 years, probably put 70,000, 80,000 miles on it.
Okay.
No, maybe like 60, maybe like 60,000 over that 6 year period. So I did track days. I did like 6 track days with it at Laguna Seca and various tracks around California and some back east. And never a hiccup, dude. Just basic maintenance. Just I really took care of that car. Sold it for
Reliable.
I sold it for the price I paid for it. Now it's worth even more. I sold it at when I had 90K on it. So I got it when I had pretty low mileage, but dude,
good car.
Wish I still had it because it was a really good daily, very comfortable. I think those legacies have aged incredibly well. That
They
design.
have, and I feel like I haven't. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen a clean one. Just cruising around. They used to be everywhere, and then I feel like they died with COVID almost for whatever reason. Like I feel like it's been a few years since I've seen a really nice clean one just in the wild.
Yeah, it's not very often, and the Spec Bs looked a little different. They just, I don't know. It was a good combination of like, understated performance, and it really brought a lot to the table over a regular legacy. That Spec B package was special. So it's a very cool car, plus super rare, one of the rarest cars I've ever owned. So number 2 spot, Legacy Spec B. But same thing, like you said, man, Turbo Subarus, just take care of them and enjoy.
I'm trying to guess what your number 1 is. I have a guess, but I don't know if it's. Should I guess, or do you want to just go?
Try it. Take a shot. What's the worst? You can be wrong.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Albert Einstein.
NSX?
Correct. That's an easy one. So, yeah, I had a 93 Acura NSX, which is right where I wanted to be. I wanted an early model because, no ABS, no power steering, no target top, all the things I like in a car.
No bullshit.
Yeah, none of that bullshit to get in the way of a pure driving experience.
Brother.
So analog, man. So Formula Red paint, ivory interior. Rumors have it that there were only 15 that year made in that combination. That's a Corvette stat right there, baby.
That's right.
But god damn it, dude. So of course I modified it. So I had a Pride VFL exhaust, which means very fucking loud, which is when you take the cats off, very true. Because my biggest qualm with the NSX when a stock NSX is the sound. Boy, they're muted. They are completely like neutered in the sound department. So uncorked the exhaust, also had an intake so you could hear that sucking in right behind. It's literally right behind your left ear.
Sweet.
Dude, the way that thing, as it neared redline with that exhaust, it sounded like an F1 car, like a period F1. It was absolutely brilliant. Fuck, I love that car. It's so easy to drive, pretty easy to maintain. I did some small things to it. I only owned it for a year and a half. Honestly, dude, it was too flashy for me. I'm not really a flashy car guy, and I was more in love. I love how it looked, but I was more in love with the handling dynamics and the history of that car than about like how people think it's super cool and like in video games and people hanging out of their cars like videoing me when I'm just driving it to like a Cars and Coffee or something. It's just much. It's not for me, dude. But good Lord, one of my biggest, and I know I say this a lot. I sell a lot of cars, and I say, fuck, Frank, I really wish I wouldn't have let that go, right? Or like a couple years ago, I tried to find another one and I can't, and I get really upset. This is one financially and emotionally that I shouldn't have let go because I had it for a year and a half. I made quite a bit of dough off of the car, which was fine, but it's like double now, at least.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be at least an 80K car. It did have a lot though. It had I think it had 120K on it when I sold it,
Okay.
but no imperfections. The paint was absolutely brilliant. Interior was 9 out of 10. Exterior was like 9.5 out of 10. Ran fantastically. All the mods and everything. At least $70,000 to $80,000 car if I was to sell it today. So just one of my biggest regrets, but that's it, baby. So we've got weird old Japanese cars and a little bit of German stuff in there for fun.
There you go. A good sprinkling. Nothing American, huh?
Yeah, nothing American.
No, that's okay. When we do this again in 10 years and we have the 10-year update,
get a ZR1.
Maybe the neon ACR will have worked its way up the ranks.
Maybe that ZR1 sitting in the corner probably too.
There's that too. Yeah, that's got it's a good
one.
shot at taking the chance. Well, good. I'm glad we talk a lot about the various cars that we have and have had, but rarely do we have an opportunity to rank them. So that was good.
That's fun, man. I like our lists. They're very cool. I wish we had our list still. It'd be super cool with the ones we don't already still have. It'd be so cool to have those cars lined up. But
have a fantasy. That's what we should do. We should have a fantasy draft of each other's cars.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
We put them all in a hopper and they're all available as like a draft pool. Or we have other people do it. We have a guest on and we make them rank our cars and torture them. We should torture our guests.
It was kind of fun. Should we get a little quizzical, my friend?
I believe quizzical. I wanna get quizzical.
Yeah. I was thinking we need a quiz song, but no, I guess we don't.
We have it now. Yes. Mm-hmm. Check that one off the box.
I believe I'm quizzing you. So do you mind detailing our fine game to our listeners, sir?
Oh, I do mind, but I will do it anyways. The game that is at hand. The game is afoot, and that is our print ad quiz game. Yes, that's my poor Sean Connery. And the way this works, it does not involve any Scottish actors, but what it does involve is, in this example, Chadwick here is going to find and has already found a print ad, probably from a magazine from the 80s, the 90s, up until the mid 2000s, and he's going to read the type copy from that ad. He will omit out anything super overly identifying, such as the make and model of this vehicle, and then I will have 3 guesses to guess the make and model that he is talking about in this ad. I can ask for hints should I need them in between guesses, and I will get 10 minutes once he is done reading the meat and potatoes of this advertisement. Please feel free to play along at home. I am ready. Chadwick, what you got for me?
Let me clear my throat for this fantastic. So this is a one-pager, my friend. It has the vehicle at this amazing driver's side 3/4 angle, but canted slightly from the looking down upon the vehicle. Super cool angle. The bottom has a rear 3/4 driver's side shot with a bunch of little infographics, if you will, of the interior and some of the structural design. So the main tagline says, "Taste great, more filling."
Oh, okay.
This is good. It's a daunting task to make a great-looking, roomy coupe that already enjoys the highest resale value in its class. Oh. Even better, that's a weird thing to mention on a new car. Even better, but it looks like we succeeded. On the style side, we've added new sculpted front and rear fascias, new colors, a new black and tan leather interior choice, new fog lamps, and a new rear spoiler. Available cast aluminum 17-inch wheels.
Oh,
and even new 14-inch wheel covers for the base model. And that is such
17s and 14s with wheel covers.
14 covers, yeah. And to maintain that crucial balance of good looks and intelligence that have made blank so successful, we filled it with even more smart things and smart thinking.
Ooh.
Consider elevated rear seating to give people in the back a better view of the road up front.
Okay.
Split folding rear seats, 13.1 cubic feet of trunk, and low lift over height for easy loading. Enough interior space for 5 adults.
Allegedly.
2.5 liter V6 single overhead cam 24 valve engine. Available power sunroof. Available power windows that stay operational 30 seconds after the ignition is turned off.
Ooh.
Not at 31. That shit locks right up.
Nope.
Four-wheel independent double wishbone suspension.
Okay.
That's cool. We all like that. Rigid body structure. It's not the TSX behind me. Rigid body structure for handling and quiet ride. Available 4-speed automatic transmission with selectable overdrive. That means there is a manual option.
Yeah.
Driver and front passenger airbags available. Anti-lock brakes. Optional remote keyless entry system. I'm really naming some stuff that's going to give it away to you, man. Blah, blah, blah. The rest is the warranty. That's it, man.
Is there a phone number?
You have, oh God, no. You have 10 minutes to guess what tastes great and is more filling.
I wanted to dial more porn.
It's definitely, this one is definitely porn.
Boy. Okay. Available 2-tone black and tan interior, 2.5 V6 in a coupe. So this sounds to me like the Mitsubishi 2.5 6-cylinder that was available in the Dodge Stratus and basically it made its way into the cloud cars. I think it was also available. I'm trying to remember. Or was that the 3-liter? I think it might have been available in the Dodge Avenger / Chrysler Sebring coupe. This sounds like the late 90s, maybe even early 2000s, but there weren't a lot of 14s in the early 2000s, but 17 was kind of like, you were a big dick in it if you had 17s and in that late in there. I'm gonna say this is a 1998 Chrysler Sebring coupe. Final answer, Bob.
The Sebring coupe does taste great. It's just not filling though, man. But you are dangerously close, my friend.
Dangerously cheesy. Okay. So okay, could be the Avenger. There was no Plymouth stablemate here.
What kind of hint can I help you with?
I'm trying to think of one that's not too okay, so I guessed a domestic manufacturer. Is it a domestic manufacturer? The brand it's sold under.
Very much so.
Okay. So it could be, boy. Okay. So it could still be the Dodge Avenger, I think. I don't think there was a Plymouth coupe version of this, because when you got the 6-cylinder in the Eclipse, it became the 3-liter and then the 3.6. So I'm just gonna grip it and rip it. I'm gonna say this is I'm gonna keep the year the same, right? I'm gonna say 1998 Dodge Avenger. Final answer, Bob.
I don't know how to tell this any different, but also to maintain that crucial balance of good looks and intelligence that have made Avenger so successful. This is a Dodge Avenger. However, sir, this car was way ahead of its time. It's a 1995 ES.
Okay.
Specifically.
Yes.
That is the one, and I want one of these so bad.
I thought they were when I was like a misguided Ute. I was 12 when this car was floating around, 11 or 12. I just thought they looked so cool. I thought they were.
They do. The rear looks like
really
a Dodge Stealth. The light treatment, the narrow lights in the front have aged well. It had like kind of that Viper look to it, and it's a 2-door and you could get a 5-speed manual with a V6.
Yep.
They look good, and you cannot find them. Now, the second-gen Avengers were dog shit. Those things, ugh. Do you remember what those looked like? And they had the RT, which was like all-wheel drive or some bullshit. It was horrible. Those were
Did they have all-wheel drive in those?
They had an RT all-wheel drive. The second gen, that's like in like the early 2000, mid-2000s. So this was the early one, the 95 guy. But yeah, you're spot on.
Yeah, you're right, because it was the SXT, and the second gen was almost like a like a caliber got stepped on and stretched.
Yeah, it was weird, like really angular. And this one was kind of smooth. Let me get in this. I gotta say, dude,
Tell me, look at that.
Not a bad looking car still. In the rear, 3/4 is going to be super small, but you can see there it has the the Dodge Stealth light treatment across the back, the white bar, basically. Good looking.
It's car. Funny. I feel like I see that same generation Sebring coupe more than I see Avengers.
Agreed. Yeah, and this looks better. I think this looks way better.
Sebring. Yeah, especially the front end. The Sebring had that like kind of weird, like roundy triangle kind of front end.
Yeah, this one even had like the 3000 GT, like the circle little white reverse lights. It just, I think they're good. Can't find one. I can't even find a ratted out one, dude. It's ridiculous.
There's got to be one out there.
Good job, man. You got it. You
thank you.
Right off the rip we're talking Avenger.
It just felt right. Yeah, because they're actually fairly big.
Yeah.
So I think that is when they do say like, oh, it's a coupe that can seat 5, and it's like, ha ha ha. You probably could almost actually get 5 in that.
I think the legroom was pretty bad and the headroom was pretty bad, but you could probably scoot some adults back there.
Scoot some boot. Yeah.
Good job, man.
Should we discuss Project Car Progress?
Are you bringing some PCP to the table this week, my friend? I feel like you're always taking advantage of my supply. Getting high on my supply.
Only a little bit.
Okay.
And it's actually almost unprogress, which is great.
Late on. Oh God, no. Is this Porsche progress again?
Sort of. So I have actually made a little tiny inkling of progress on the little green 924. So I did actually finally get the stupid little wire plug back onto the starter, like all the way. Officially, it ain't going nowhere. Good. So I can actually start and run and drive it. Okay, so on this car, what also has started to do was the speedometer started to get jumpy.
No. Okay.
Still works, but it's just jumpy, right? Like and like, so I don't know what it was. So I looked at it, everything looked okay. I was poking around the engine bay. And these cars have a weird, I actually straight up am not entirely certain what this thing does, but it has what's called an EGR counter, which it's a box with a pigtail plugs into it, and then the speedo cable coming off the transmission goes into the box on this end, and then thread onto the other end is the rest of the speedo cable that then goes to the cluster. Okay, and that thing is called the EGR counter. And it was just like hanging loose. I think what happened was when I had the motor mounts done, they like kind of moved it off to the side, and then didn't properly put it back in its thing, and so it was like loose. And so when I've tried to finagle it back in its spot, and I guess where it was, the way it was resting and why it was making the stretch was the box is plastic, and then the cable threads onto like a plastic nipple, and then the cable goes over it, and the plastic around on the box itself was cracked and broken. And so the cable was still working because it was still making contact, but it was just like resting like almost on the steering column, like on the work, like
shit.
So it was just sitting there. And it was held in place by the cable, but it was cracked. And that's what I was hearing, was it going like in there. And so like when I moved the box, it just went and like fell apart. So this box thing is broken. There's one on eBay, but I don't know if it's the right one. And I don't.
Oh no.
But I don't even know what this thing does, other than now that the thing's broken, I dare not drive it, because now it's like I'm recording miles without recording the miles, because it's
right.
The odometer's not going. So in lieu of turning this into a TMU car for no reason, I'm just not driving. It's just been sitting in my driveway. But like I kind of want to just like, do I order this other box and hope that it works and put it, and it's in a pain in the ass to get location.
Sure.
And the way it's held in is weird. And I can see how this shop messing with it kind of broke it, because the only way it holds in, there's just a bracket, like an L bracket sticking off the, like way down low on the inner fender well.
Mm-hmm.
On the driver's side, and the box that has the threaded nipple that the cable goes into and threads on, it just goes through a hole. There's like this bracket with a hole in it, and it just goes like this, and then it's held on by the cable that's threaded on.
Interesting.
That's the only thing supporting it. And so that's why it was like cracked, because it was like, but I don't know. But
well, and plastic in an engine bay for 30 plus years.
Right.
To be honest.
So it's either I can fish it out and then try and like just JB weld it back together and hope that it holds.
Plastic though?
Yeah, like JB Weld, like the JB Weld plastic epoxy, and just at the base, because it's just cracked at the base of the box.
Yeah.
And I have all the components because it's still threaded in the other end of the cable. So if I just unthread it out of the cable, put it all back together, and then put it back together, and then great. Versus the $100 one of unknown origin on eBay, and there's only one that I can find like on the planet.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Unless there's some, I don't know what this damn thing does. Can I just connect the two pieces of cable and bypass the box and call it good?
There's something going on there, right? There's
because I searched online. I can't even find the purpose of this thing other than it's called the EGR counter. So presumably it's emissions related.
That's what I'm thinking.
And only this is a 49 state car because it was originally sold in like Massachusetts, and the California emission ones don't have it, which is weird. You'd think it'd be the other way around. So no idea. I don't know, but that's the thing. And so, yeah, that's part of the saga. So I dare not move that car until I fix this thing. But once that's done, I think it's done. Like I can do whatever I want with it. I can sell it. I can keep driving it. I can all of the above. So that's my progress. I found out what that noise was, and now it's like, it's not dire, but like I just need to fix it.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you, sir?
So the S10 Blazer, I need to get wheels for it because it has some not so good looking aftermarket wheels on it. I'm not a big, sometimes I do like period correct aftermarket, and they are period correct. It's just not my style.
They were like chrome steel wheels, right? Or what were they?
No, they were like there were five, the 5-spoke ones, but it was that black and silver. It wasn't really chrome. It was more like almost like an aluminum look, but it was like black, and it just didn't look good on the truck. So the thing is, these 94s came with like a disturbingly ugly wheel from the factory. It was the chrome one with the fake rivets and the circle holes, and it just, if you look it up, 94 S10 Blazer wheels, they're even worse. They're
not the 5-spoke ones that have ABS stamped in them.
No,
because those are the ones I picture in my head.
No, you look up 94 Blazer, S10 Blazer, and you're gonna see like the hideous chrome fake rivets and circles.
Oh, yeah. It's like a weird
so
phone dial kind of.
So bad. It
looks aftermarket.
It does. It tries to, and they have aftermarket ones that kind of emulate that. But if you go back a couple years, they have the 5-spoke ones that you're talking about, except it says 4x4 on one of the spokes.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Those are my favorites. I think those look great on it. So, but the only thing is they're very expensive because everybody else thinks those ones look way better. So I actually found a guy in Oakland selling a set of 4 in great shape for $300. And I'm like, dude, got to move on that, right?
Yeah.
So, dude, the ghettoest part, and here's first thing, disclaimer, I literally have no sense of fear. I don't know if it's my background or what I've been through, and my wife makes fun of me. She's like, you just like walk, and it's not like you're aloof and not paying attention. It's like no one messes with you because you have this just like focus.
That's actually fair. That's super fair. If you just be confident and just mind your own business, you're not a target. No one cares. Like you can do. There were some spicy areas that I worked in on the insurance gig out in the field for many years. Same deal.
I do, and I trust my background. I think I'm still pretty dangerous if I have to be. But anyway, dude, I'm in the middle of like this fucking like abandoned like campers lining this whole street. It's in the roughest part of Oakland, and I get out. We know where to park, so I block his driveway. So, I'm like, where is this guy? I've been messaging him. Got my wife with me. She's in the truck. It's all locked up. We're all doing cool. I'm walking around because I don't give a shit. It's raining.
Yeah.
There's a dude cutting a catalytic converter off right next to us. And I'm like looking at the guy's house, messaging him. And then the dude comes out from the truck that he's cutting the cat off, walks by me and looks at me weird. Yeah. And then he opens the gate and he goes into that yard, and I'm trying to talk to him and he keeps walking. He comes back out, dude, and his dogs are like jumping all over me. And he looks at me and I'm like, hey, here for the wheels. And he goes, no. And then he goes and just starts cutting the cat off again. And I'm like, and he shut the gate. And I'm like, this is the guy, right? He just came from the house. So I go and I open the ad and I stick it under the truck he's working on.
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. And I'm like, he gets out and he's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, dude, did you think it was weird that someone blocked your driveway and is in your face, like just
Yeah.
hanging out? Like,
That's
especially
funny.
me. Look at me. I like, what is this weird fucking dude doing here? And he's like,
Yes.
oh, yeah, let me go get him. And I'm like, you need help? He's like, no, they're still on the truck. And I'm like, still in the fucking truck. So he goes, his fucking truck. I look, it's in the driveway, has the wheels on it. So I have to go back to my truck, sit for 20 minutes while dude tries to jack up his truck and take these 4 wheels off with tires, rolling them
funny.
out in the rain, downpouring. He's soaked. I'm soaked. I'm covered in mud, just loading these things in the car. But I got him for $250. So I got all 4
Hey.
for $250, dude. We threw him in the back of the GX, came back home. But dude, that story was just like the wildest thing, Frank. I'm like,
That's funny.
I'm literally blocking your driveway and like trying to engage with you. And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go cut this.
Oh, they're
cat
on
off.
the truck. It's like, oh
Yeah,
man. Well,
they're
think
on the
about it
truck.
though. Like you sat there for an extra 30 minutes in the rain and you save $50 for it. So that's like
Worth
$100
it.
an hour.
You can't
You know?
find them like on eBay. They're like $800 for a set of 4 and stuff, and plus
So
shipping.
did he just
so.
leave that thing? Did he just leave that thing with like 2 floor jacks under it or just
What,
drop it onto the
concrete
ground?
he put on blocks.
Oh, okay, good.
It was fitting.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure it was his?
I don't ask these kind of questions, dude.
It's just like his neighbors. He's like, yeah, put it. And then a neighbor gets home and he's like, I don't know, man. Somebody just, no idea. Somebody just stole your shit.
Yeah, that's what happens, man. Don't leave your shit in the open. But yeah, fucking weird, dude. But had no situational awareness. It was hilarious. But anyway, let's just wrap this thing up. You want to take us home on this one, dude? Just wrap it up.
Yeah. Wrap it up every time. Thank you, friends, for spending and wasting and burning more of your very valuable time with idiots the likes of us. We are another pointless automotive podcast. If you want to see us, if you want to watch an abandoned Instagram page, you can go to APA Podcast on the gram and see us there. You can see a far less abandoned video format of this. That is at our YouTube channel, APA Podcast, another pointless automotive podcast. Search it up. It is there. We are here. Thanks for listening wherever you have chosen to listen to said podcast. Do all the ratings. That's a thing. You can rate
please.
us negatively or potentially positively. It's up to you. If you want to follow like what I'm up to, you shouldn't, but I'm the Photographer's Garage on things. Chadwick, where can the people stalk you and hunt you?
Yeah, Auto Obsessive Garage, for your rescues, restorations, reviews sometimes. Currently got some content for the TSX, which has been a fun project, and the NX 2000 on there. So check it out. But yeah, guys, again, like Frank said, thank you so much for checking us out and listening to us another week. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side. As always, take care.
Toodaloo.